Friends, we are seeing that it looks like the banking system itself was not the target of this latest round of financial chaos. Though some banks did go down, Silicon Valley Bank, Silvergate, and of course Signature Bank, these banks and Credit Suisse were not the targets of the operation. We're seeing that this was actually targeted towards cryptocurrencies. And when we start looking at the assets of these banks, you'll notice that these banks are very renowned for backing new cryptocurrency startups. So if you want to start your own crypto coin, you want to start your prepper coin or something like that, and you start coding it all up, you need to hire some staff. So you need to go get a loan from a bank that's going to support this so that you can then fund it by issuing cryptocurrencies and stuff like that to fund your new coin. Signature Bank was doing a lot of that. So was Silicon Valley Bank. They did a lot of that. They were one of the biggest ones out there. And in just a matter of weeks, we see these coin-backing banks suddenly start dropping like flies. Folks out there are now calling this Operation Choke Point 2.0, and they are saying what this is all about is debanking, not debanking Russia, debanking cryptocurrencies, making it so the cryptocurrency innovators, cryptocurrency firms are not able to get access to funds. They aren't able to get loans. We see that this has radically shifted in the last few weeks. Now, regulators have never been friends of cryptocurrencies out there, and I'm not going to say that I'm necessarily encouraging to go out there and invest significant amounts of money into cryptocurrencies. I think that that's one of those dangerous places to be sticking your toes. You need to be prepared to lose everything that you stick into cryptocurrencies. Some of you are going to disagree with me significantly on that. But I have my own reasons why I, as an accountant, don't like cryptocurrencies. I don't like the fact that you can keep creating new coins. And that is, while each coin may be deflationary, there's only a set number of Bitcoins ever going to be issued. There's not a set number of coins, different kinds of coins that are going to be issued. They can keep adding new ones. And also I don't like the fact that it is not viable against EMP threats, and I still feel like what we're seeing today with the regulation in the United States going after cryptocurrencies, I kind of felt like that was kind of inevitable. Is it made it so that you cannot invest in cryptocurrencies at this point? No. But what it is doing is it is a marked shift where the United States government is now openly and hostilely attacking cryptocurrencies and their access to banks. On March 20th, the U.S. White House basically declared war on the cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, stablecoin. They have started to issue Wells notices. In the end of February, Paxos received a Wells notice, which is like a legal threat. Coinbase received theirs on March 22nd, and we see that these Wells notices have triggered banks distancing themselves from these marketplaces, as well as we're seeing the banks that were actually funding a lot of these projects are rapidly pulling back and divesting themselves, and this is causing a lot of chaos in the coin market out there, electronic coin market. Bitcoin has held up relatively well, but a lot of the other cryptocurrencies have really started crashing under this direct and intense attack by the U.S. government. Why are they doing this? Well, it's multiple-fold. One is that I think the United States has come to the realization that these cryptocurrencies are outside of the control of the U.S. government, and they are being used to prop up institutions like Iran, Venezuela, Cuba, and to another extent Russia and China and North Korea and these other states where they can circumvent sanctions. We see some of these countries actively using cryptocurrencies to avoid U.S. sanctions in supplementing their building out of electronic trade between their countries. They have, for some parts, used Bitcoin and other electronic currencies in order to kind of bridge the gap while they've been setting up their own SWIFT equivalent system. SWIFT is how U.S. and allies move their money around from banks from country to country. The Russians and the BRICS countries have been building their own equivalent of SWIFT, and it is now in partial operation between Russia and Iran. And there is talk about Russia and China starting to operate this, and China is wanting to use this alternate SWIFT network to start paying for oil from Iran and paying for oil from Saudi Arabia. Announcements on the Saudi Arabia thing have not come out just yet, but there's clearly talks going on in the background. So the United States doesn't like these cryptocurrencies because they're a little too free. There's too much freedom there. There's too much liberty. We don't like that. We want to control and dominate the world. And we like doing that by using the dollar to strangle the world. Now, if you are aware of any of what's going on, the Federal Reserve has already begun testing, and banks are already starting to use a new transaction system hosted by the Federal Reserve, the Fed now. And this is a system in which they are using electronic, basically a cryptocurrency issued by the Federal Reserve so that banks can transfer an online ledger that's centralized, however, and controlled by the Federal Reserve so that they can transfer money more quickly between banks. This can't help but see other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and other stable coins as a direct competitor to the US dollar. As the US dollar starts to take on a lot of the capabilities of these other things like Bitcoin, there's this direct competition, and it's understandable that we're seeing that the United States coming out there and starting to directly chop away at the banking connections as well as attacking these cryptocurrencies outright. So, did this federal regulation actually cause the downfall of Signature Bank, Silicon Valley Bank? It's looking like that may be the possibility. That the whole bank run actually started because of the regulations and the legal threats that were levied against a lot of the depositors and organizations that had deposits at Silicon Valley Bank. Now, isn't that an interesting twist on things? That the United States government may have directly, more or less intentionally created the downfall of Silicon Valley Bank. How would you feel about that if you were a private company or an investor in a private company and the United States government went out and directly attacked your company or the company that you're invested in? They just chose that they want to take your bank out, take your business out, and so they just went after their customers and started systematically attacking them by debanking, by threatening them with legal notices. Friends, we are not nearly as free as we'd like to think that we are. And even though we have the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury out there trying to save the world, the more you dig into it, the more you realize that they're the ones who are actually undermining things in the first place. They're not the firemen showing up at the scene to put out the fire. They were there before because they're the ones who actually set the fire. Everything you can believe now, smoke and mirrors, you have to do your own research. You have to dig into it more. If you want to dig into it more, start looking into Operation Choke Point 2.0. Yes. Now, it hasn't been publicly avowed by the U.S. government, but it has been talked about a lot in the background in the cryptocurrency spaces where they are they're pulling out quite a bit of information that sure seems pretty darn legit, that this is an intentional operation by regulating authorities such as the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States, the FBI. Yeah. This seems to be coming from the highest levels, like it's being ordered intentionally against. If you're in cryptocurrencies, folks, you know, it looks like they're coming for you. It looks like they're coming for you. It looks like they're coming for the businesses that you do business with. Be careful. If you have cryptocurrencies, make sure you're holding those security keys yourself in your own digital wallet and they're not sitting on other people's sites like Coinbase or Robinhood, or make sure that you actually have the security keys to your cryptocurrency. Because if you don't actually hold those keys, you don't actually own them. You just have a promise from somebody else that they'll give them to you if you request them, if they're still in business. Friends, be careful out there. Like I said, I have my own personal reasons why I don't like cryptocurrencies, and I kind of explained a little bit about those. It's not EMP proof, and I believe that the regulations of the U.S. government and others are going to be coming down pretty hard on cryptocurrencies, and I think that's going to cause them to become awfully hard to use. And I think that silver, gold, coins are a little more untraceable and a little bit better for an off-grid economy. All right, folks, keep doing what you can out there to get more prepared. Keep your eyes out there for what's going on. And if you found this video to be useful or helpful, you might want to check out another video from me right over here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you later. Steve Poplar, out.